Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Santa Clarita In-Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Gene Dorio, who should be walking in any time. He's a busy man. On your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guests this morning are Mike Doherty of the Behavioral Health Department and Henry Mayo Newhall Hospital. And later in the hour, we'll be speaking with Kim Wall, an alternative medicine advocate. Welcome, Mike. It's good to see you again.
Well, it's wonderful to be on the show once again. It's been a little while.
Yes, it's been quite a while, but you've been through some pretty serious stuff.
Well, I did. Yeah, I had to take a little time off for a little bit of surgery.
Yes. Cancer surgery.
Yes, I'm now, hooray, I can say I'm a cancer survivor.
Yes, that makes two of us.
There you go.
Yes.
Not a fun road to go down, but
no.
Hey, if you got to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely do. Life is worth living. Don't you agree?
It is. Oh, well, I would certainly say that. Yes, and just yesterday, my wife and I celebrated our 46th wedding anniversary.
Wonderful. 46 years.
46 and counting.
Absolutely, and counting.
You know, we met
many more.
I told you just before we went on the show that I used to host a teen dance program,
Yes.
the Dick Clark thing, right? And we used to play that song when I'm 64, and I used to think, boy, that's a long ways off for me. I've passed it now. And that's where I actually met my wife. I was hosting the show, and she was a staff dancer, so we met on a television soundstage.
Isn't that wonderful? 46 years.
46.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. Absolutely. Now, have you been depressed any time during that time?
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, because I think that's what we're going to be talking about, isn't it?
Senior depression.
Senior depression.
It's such an important topic for seniors because this is one that they tend to sweep under the rug.
Absolutely, they do.
Hey, you know who just walked in?
Yes, I know who just walked in.
It's that man about town.
Yes, it is. Hello, man about town. How are you? Dr.
How about
Gene.
man in and out of town?
All right, man in and out of town.
In and out burger?
Oh.
No, not in and out burger. In and out of town. That's much healthier.
I haven't been out of town.
Yeah, but you don't want to go
I don't
in and
even
out
think I've
burger.
been out of the valley for a while.
It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. You
Yes.
know, and I'm going to get on the topic here in just a second, but, we had a great day yesterday with elections.
Yes,
Don't you think? I mean,
yes, we did.
when I walked into my election polling place, there was a line of people walking in.
Oh, that's
let
great.
alone stepping up and voting.
There you go.
Gotta
That's
be
the way
proud.
to be. Well, that's the way to be.
Thank
hey,
goodness.
That's one of the great privileges we have in this country, and so many people don't participate.
No,
and there are
they
so many countries
don't.
where they can't vote, and
We need to take
we
advantage.
We can do
we
this.
can, and so many people sit at home. It blows my mind. It really does.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to vote, to have people represent us. Whether or not you like them is beside the point. The opportunity is there for us.
Yes.
Do you think, though, Mike, you're in mental health, do you think mental health plays a role in our voting and how we don't want to vote?
Well, I would certainly think so, especially if somebody was a bit depressed, or even a lot depressed. But even if they were a bit depressed or having a down day, and then you tend to think, it doesn't matter.
What's the use?
Yeah, but sometimes they also treat their life like they treat voting.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I don't matter.
And our seniors sometimes are faced with problems related to their physical health that then evolves into their mental health.
Oh boy, that's a big one. It really
Yeah.
is. And I think most seniors and caregivers don't really stop to think that their mental health is absolutely connected to their physical well-being. And so, as you know, Dr. Dorio, if somebody has a cardiac situation or if they have a major surgery, that is impacted greatly by their mental outlook. And if they don't have a good mental outlook, their recovery can take a huge amount of time more than it would have, and it can also be very expensive, much more expensive than it would have if they had a good mental outlook.
And that's why it's so important when people are in the hospital setting that they have somebody there to be their advocate to give them that pep talk, because they're not going to get it from their doctors. They might get it from their nurses, but when they're in the hospital, they're worried about their health. They're not feeling well, and they're thinking, okay, is this the end? And if indeed there's a chance, doctors are there to try to fix it. But if they don't know, or communications are poor, it might start having a psychological effect on their eventual mental health.
Well, Barbara and I were just talking about that at the beginning of the program. I'm just 3 months off of having prostate surgery and bladder cancer surgery as well. And so I know what it's like. I mean, my wife was there with me, and I know how wonderful it was to have her there when I was going through all of that.
What about those seniors who don't have somebody there? How do we handle that? I mean, that's a much more difficult problem of awareness that everybody in the community should say, hey, let's support every senior that's going into the hospital. Can we do that?
Maybe there's one of those things that volunteers can do.
Yeah.
Well, don't you have a volunteer group of ladies over there?
Oh, at the hospital?
hospital?
At Henry Mayo, we have the most wonderful group of volunteers over there. And many of them are seniors, and many of them have been there for years and years and years, and they just love what they do, and they provide such a marvelous service. I can't say enough good things about the volunteers over at Henry Mayo.
They do a great job. Maria Strumsick runs the volunteer program over there.
I saw her this morning.
And I saw her yesterday. She's all over the place, and it's a difficult task when it comes to those people in our community get ill. Yeah. And to be able to work around them, to give them that support in some way to make sure they do okay and get out of the hospital. That is not an easy task.
No, it's a biggie. It's really a biggie.
Yeah, I know when I was going through my chemotherapy, so many of my girlfriends came and stayed with me during that time. It didn't matter whether I was going to fall asleep or not, which I did many times, but they were there. They were there for me, and you cannot say enough for friends, volunteers who do that kind of thing, because going through something like that, or going through any illness, and you're a senior, you're getting older, and you think, I'm never going to come out of this. What's the point? And that is so prevalent. It really is.
Well, and people think in terms of who's a senior, and I guess it depends on who's talking, but statistics show that about 20% of adults aged 55 or older experience some kind of mental health problem.
Well, that's amazing.
It is. Because it's one of those things we tend to sweep under the rug. There's a stigma attached to it. So, hey, I don't want anybody to know that I'm having a little problem here. They don't want people to know that.
If you're a human being, you will have some kind of mental illness in life. That's just the way it is, because there are so many factors that surround us that then end up creating problems, and then there are physical problems, and there's doubt, and there's worry that then the illness sets in. It sometimes becomes an avalanche or tsunami of things that start going on in your life.
That's true.
And yes, you can be depressed, and that's why I think that as a physician, I tend to, when somebody and I'm aware they're depressed, I tend to not say, let's just give them a drug and think that's going to make a difference. I say, okay, let's look at the support networks around them to see if we can work on that before we start drugging them up.
Well, hooray for you. That's excellent. Yeah. And I also want to say something to the seniors that are out there listening and to the caregivers. But that most seniors think that depression is a normal part of aging, and it absolutely is not.
No, it is not.
So if you're a caregiver and your senior is beginning to exhibit some signs of depression, you need to pay attention to that, because the bottom line when it comes to depression, if it's left untreated, it's deadly, because it leads to suicide.
Yes, it does.
And for anybody out there that thinks, oh, seniors don't commit suicide, I've got a news flash for you. The highest rate of suicide for any age group, most people think that it's college students. It's not. It's people 85 years of age and older. And the second highest is people 79 years of age and up. So when you hit your late 70s and up, you are in the highest age group for suicide, actually completing suicide.
So Mike, let's talk about that. Our listeners, some of them are homebound, listening to our show. What are the things, the factors that play a role as they looked at these seniors who have committed suicide? What are the factors that have played a role in them heading in that direction and then eventually committing suicide? I think we talked about loneliness, being by themselves.
Oh, absolutely. That's a big one. Another is that maybe they had a loss of a spouse. You know that one of the things that they've noticed statistically is that a huge percentage of seniors who have lost a spouse are still actually clinically depressed up to a year after the loss of that spouse, and many go on beyond that. And they just won't, as you said, they won't talk to people. They won't talk about what's going on with them. And here's the other sad thing, that oftentimes seniors will tell their family or even tell a doctor how they're feeling, that they're feeling down, they're just not feeling right. And so often they're told, oh, you'll be fine, get over it.
You'll be all right.
And that's the worst thing you can say.
That's right.
If somebody's clinically depressed, it's not possible for them to get over it.
So
the other thing that happens too is they're given a drug.
Yes.
Right off the bat.
Yes.
It's easy. Snap your fingers in and out.
Oh,
you
you'll
get to see
be
your
better.
doctor
Here's
for 10 minutes.
Yeah, here's a
Take
drug.
this drug. Write the
That'll help
prescription
you.
out. So, Mike, what does one do when you are a caregiver, when you're a family member, when you recognize in one of our seniors there's clinical depression and they're showing signs of it? To just pass that by and say you'll get over it is the last step. What would be some of the first steps that we should do when we see our seniors moping, groping, trying to live their life? What should we say to them? How should we handle it? Do we report them? What do we do?
Well, Dr. Dorio, if it's okay, let me give you a list of 10 things to first of all look for. Okay. So when you see them, then you'll know. And then we can talk for a moment about what they might do. What are some of their avenues? If you notice sad or depressed mood lasting longer than 2 weeks, because everybody has a down day, right? I mean, we get up, we have a bad hair day or something happened and things don't go right during the day. But if it lasts for 2 or more weeks, it's likely clinical depression, in which case you need to deal with it. Social withdrawal, of course, loss of interest in things that used to be enjoyable, unexplained fatigue, energy loss, or sleep changes, confusion, disorientation, problems with concentration or decision making, an increase or decrease in appetite, changes in weight, memory loss, especially recent or short-term memory problems, feelings of worthlessness, inappropriate guilt, helplessness, thoughts of suicide. Wow, there's a biggie. Physical problems that can't otherwise be explained, aches, pains, constipation, those sorts of things. Changes in appearance or dress or problems maintaining the home or yard, and trouble handling finances or working with numbers. So these are all things that you can connect the dots a little bit if you see these going on. And what you want to do is, unfortunately, most seniors don't go to see a mental health professional. They normally always go to their main doctor.
That's right.
And so, Dr. Dorio, you probably see a lot of this yourself, and you're the first person they came to. But a mental health professional like a therapist or even a psychiatrist, and some seniors are not going to be real thrilled about going to see a psychiatrist because stigma. And I remember
wrong with me.
reading a story to the seniors at the Santa Clarita Valley Senior Center, and one of the questions that the senior in this story asked was, what will happen if I go to see a psychiatrist and people find out about it?
I'm crazy.
Yeah, I can deal with a problem with my body, but I can't deal with a problem with my mind. And that's sad. So they really need to reach out, whoever it is that they feel comfortable with, or a clergy, a good friend, anybody. But don't take no for an answer. If they say, oh, just go take a shower and you'll feel peppy when you get out of there. No, keep talking until you find somebody.
The other thing, too, true friends would notice that something is wrong. A close family member, even a caregiver, would notice, especially with some of those indicators that you mentioned.
Yeah.
They're major indicators. They really are. And that person will notice that and quite possibly make a suggestion. Hey, you aren't feeling as good as you used to.
And I have a
You know,
suggestion
you're down.
to the seniors that are listening out there, and that is you have a right to feel good as you can feel. I know my mother kind of slid into this business where she had to see the doctor a lot for things that were going on with her. And she had a problem, and I asked her, I said, well, what did the doctor say about it? And she said, I don't know, I haven't gone to see him. And I said, why not? And her response was, I got too many problems. I just can't bear to go and have to see him about yet something else. Mm-hmm. And I thought, but Mom, if you get this taken care of, you'll feel so much better instead of just suffering with it. So I encourage them, don't fall into that mindset. Oh. Mm-hmm. You deserve to feel well.
That's and you right. know, one of the ways that we have at the senior center is there's support there. There's support groups there, and you know, you might be not wanting that one-on-one with your doctor or a therapist or a psychiatrist, but going to a support group and sitting and listening and seeing that you're not the only one who's having a problem. And sometimes those support groups allow you to open up and start talking about your problems. And then after that, you might seek personal help. But, you know, reaching out is key and important. Opening up is another worthy pathway. But, you know, support groups, I think, make a huge difference. I ran a support group here in Santa Clarita for 15 years called Mr. Mom and Mrs. Dad. And it was for divorced parents who had lost their children through divorce and had literally mental illness because of it. And you know, we gave them purpose. We, you know, brought them out on the picket line. Sometimes we had them evaluating judges. We gave them things to do in the legal realm to help them out. But because of that, because they came to the support group, they saw they weren't the only ones. And that's what our seniors need to realize. They're not the only ones in life. They're not going to sail through it. It's not going to be easy. But when you're down and it starts affecting your physical health, then think about moving forward and getting the support and help that you need.
And you brought something up that's so important, and that was, you said you got them involved in the process of going out and doing things. And I speak to senior groups a lot, and one of the things that I always tell them is, don't sell yourself short. You have a lot of wisdom. You've been around a few years.
That's exactly
and so
right.
you have a lot to contribute. Get out there and make yourself available. Do these things, and you'll feel good, and the people will feel great that you did that because you have so much to offer.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And really, stop and think about that. Stop and think about that. Yes, you do have a lot to offer.
And we live in a society where everybody says, oh, youth, 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 and that's wonderful, but youth, it doesn't have wisdom. Youth doesn't have the experience.
That's exactly
right. You get a little
right.
bit older, you get a little wisdom, and
yes,
you get on up there.
Yeah,
and
you learn a great deal.
When you
Sometimes
get really old people in their 60s like me, and then you get people in their 70s, we know a lot.
Oh, I think the kids, thank goodness, are out associating with their parents or grandparents or great-grandparents, and they're able to see that there is still wisdom there. So I think in my life when I was younger, I never looked at all at the parents as being people that I would never talk to, as grandparents I would never talk to. I looked at them as being those who I'm going to learn from and gain some experience without actually having to go through it. They
Right.
would give that to me and talk.
Words of wisdom.
Exactly.
Words of wisdom.
Words
Oh,
of
that's
wisdom.
a great phrase. I love it.
Yeah, it is. And it's so very true.
It is.
It really is. And you get a senior who's up in years, they have lived life.
They sure have.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's a combination. But they have wisdom that younger people do not have because they have not lived
Right.
that life.
Right.
And that makes all the difference in the world. It really does. And your outlook on life makes a lot of difference. I mean, if you're a negative person, you probably will be depressed. If you're a positive person, you probably won't be depressed or as depressed.
There's a lot to what you say.
There really is.
It's outlook.
That's right. outlook. Well, sir, time comes to an end, doesn't it?
Time flies.
This radio, your boy does, especially when you're having fun.
So, Mike, how do we, if there are seniors out there, you're up at Henry Mayo doing a great job there, how do our seniors, if they need to get a hold of you, get a hold of you?
Well, the best way is if you feel that you have a mental health issue going on and it's getting acute, come to the emergency department, because now we have a mental health specialist in the emergency department, so they can be seen right away. They'll be seen physically and they'll be seen mentally. And the very least that they're going to get will be resources. Here's where you can go for therapy. Here's where you can go for this, for that. So that's what I would strongly suggest. Don't sit around saying it's not a problem. If you really need to, go to the emergency room.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
We never close, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
That's right. Well, it's been very nice having you back again, Mike, and we look forward to the next time you're coming back.
I understand it's pretty soon. It's right around the corner.
Yes, yes. Well, I think we need to take a break. Thank you again, Mike, and we'll be seeing you soon again. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.